The Torah declares that abundance has already been prepared for you, even before you were born. But most people spend their lives asking for what has already been given, and that request, made in the wrong way, may be blocking exactly what is waiting for you. Stop everything right now. Turn off the notifications, because what I'm going to share today may be the most important thing you've heard about your financial situation. Not because it's a magic formula, but because it's a truth that has been right in front of your eyes in a text you may already know by heart and that has never been explained this way. There is a mistake that almost everyone makes when carrying the weight of debt and seeking spiritual help. It's a misunderstanding, not a lack of faith. The faith of these people is often enormous, genuine, real. The problem has never been the amount of faith, it has been its direction. Most pray like this: Lord, send money. Lord, open a door. Lord, I need a miracle. This is completely human. But Kabbalah teaches that there is a fundamental difference between asking for what you need and opening the channel through which what you need can arrive. They are two completely different spiritual acts. One asks, the other opens. Today I will show you a psalm, one of the most well-known in the world, and reveal a hidden Kabbalistic principle within it about debt and the channel of prosperity that may be closed within you. And I will teach you a 3-day practice that has the power to reorganize something deep in your relationship with money. Let me tell you a story. In my family's tradition, it is said that my great-grandfather, whom we called Reb Nachman, landed in this country around the 1920s, coming from a small town in Eastern Europe. He arrived with almost an empty suitcase. He didn't speak the language. He had no capital or references. But he carried something that no customs can confiscate, a lesson on how to relate to the eternal when scarcity seems to be the only reality. In the first weeks, Reb Nachman would wake up before dawn and read the same psalm for 3 consecutive days. Not to ask, not to negotiate with God, but to remember who he was. To remember that the scarcity around him was not the final truth. Years later, that immigrant had built a stable life, a united family, and a peace with money that most never find. When asked the secret, he replied, "I never treated debt as my identity. I treated it as a temporary condition that had not yet received the right light." Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. And tell me in the comments, are you carrying any debt? A simple yes already helps me know that this lesson is reaching those who need it. You will discover 3 things. First, why Psalm 23 contains a specific Kabbalistic principle about the blockage of Parnasa, material and spiritual sustenance. Second, how the wrong way of reading this psalm transforms a practice of immense depth into something empty. Third, the 3-day practice, step by step. I need to explain something fundamental to you. Tehillim, the Hebrew name for the Psalms, comes from the root Hallel, praise. It is not a coincidence that the most used book in difficulty in the Jewish tradition is a book of praise. In Kabbalah, there is a central concept, Shefa, the divine flow that continuously descends from above. This flow does not stop. The problem is never in the source, it is in the channels. Imagine a water pipe with full pressure on the other side. The water is there in abundance. But if the pipe is clogged by inherited scarcity beliefs, by wounds with money, by a pattern of "it's never enough" carried through generations, the water does not pass. Praying for more water when the pipe is clogged does not solve it. What resolves is to unclog the channel. And that is what the Tehillim do when read with understanding. They are not a list of requests. They are ancestral instruments for channel cleansing. Why Psalm 23 for someone carrying debt? In Hebrew, Adonai Roy, lo echsar. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I need to tell you something about this phrase. It is not a request. It is not hope. It is a declaration of present reality. Lo echsar is in the present tense. I lack nothing, now. When you read this psalm in debt and think, but everything is lacking, you are reading with the eyes of material reality and excluding yourself from the declaration. Kabbalah teaches the principle of dibur, the word as a creative expression. Dibur not only describes reality, it creates reality. When you pronounce a spiritual truth with emunah, genuine faith, you are planting at the deepest level what will still manifest. Reb Nachman understood this. That is why he read the psalm even when the fridge was almost empty. First revelation, the shepherd and the identity block. Adonai Roy. The word Roy comes from a root with 2 meanings, to shepherd and to see. David declared, "The eternal leads me, and the eternal sees me." One of the greatest pains for those who carry debts is not just the lack of money, it is the feeling of invisibility, that no one is seeing, that your problem is too small for the universe to care, or too big to have a solution. Adonai Roy destroys this belief at its root. Every sleepless night calculating bills has been seen. Every moment of shame has been seen. Every time you smiled saying everything was fine while inside you were crumbling, it has been seen. Kabbalah speaks of Hester Panim, the concealment of the divine face. In the most difficult moments, it seems that God has turned his back, but concealment is not abandonment. It is a form of presence that requires a different response, not to wait to feel in order to declare, but to declare in order to begin to feel. This is emuna in action. And here is the blockage that debt creates. It becomes identity. The person stops seeing themselves as someone in temporary difficulty and becomes the indebted one, the one who can't. This silent change is devastating because how you see yourself determines the decisions you make and the opportunities you recognize. Adonai Roy is spiritual resistance against this blockage. It is saying, my financial condition does not define who I am. I am someone who is seen and guided. A pattern that frequently appears in people who have gone through severe financial difficulties and found a way out is that before any change in external circumstances, there was a change of identity. A decision, often small, intimate, that no one from the outside noticed, to stop seeing oneself as the problem and start seeing oneself as someone in the process of crossing over. Psalm 23 establishes this change of identity when read with full understanding. First exercise. When you reach the phrase, Adonai Roy, stop. Breathe deeply. Ask, am I feeling seen? If the answer is no, quietly declare, still it is written that I am seen. Still it is written that I am led. This is the dibur in practice. Second revelation. The green pastures and rest in the midst of crisis. He makes me lie down in green pastures. The key word is yarbitzeni, to make lie down. Not gives me pastures, not promises pastures in the future. He makes me lie down. Those who are in debt cannot rest. There is a constant agitation. How will I pay? What will happen? What will they think? This agitation has a spiritual effect that Kabbalah calls machsom, a barrier in the channel. The panicked mind becomes restricted to the problem, losing the ability to recognize opportunities and paths around. Most financial exits do not happen through instant miracles. They happen through better decisions made with clarity over time, and clarity is what panic destroys. The psalm declares that the righteous can rest even when the situation has not yet changed, not out of naivety, but out of bitachon. Bitachon is different from emuna. Emuna is belief. Bitachon is active trust, a functional state of resting in divine providence even when circumstances have not yet confirmed what you believe. The ability to breathe, think clearly, and make good decisions while the solution is on its way. Reb Nachman said, the solution was already created before the problem existed. My job is to be quiet enough to recognize it when it appears. People who develop bitachon often make better decisions. They see opportunities where they previously only saw threats. They have conversations they once avoided out of shame, and these conversations open paths. Clarity is not a spiritual luxury. It is a practical condition for finding a way out. Second exercise. When reading, He makes me rest, pause for 30 seconds. Hand on chest. 3 breaths. Say, I can rest now. The solution does not depend on my panic. The solution already exists, and my peace opens my eyes to recognize it. Third revelation, the valley of shadow and emotional debt. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Kabbalists observe something fascinating in the word tsalmavet, shadow of death. Tzel means shadow, and a shadow only exists when there is light on the other side. The darkest valley is called shadow, because it implies that light exists, hidden by the angle at which you find yourself. The psalm does not promise to avoid the valley. It says, Ki ata imadi, you are with me, here, in this difficult place, in this count that does not close, in this fear of 3 in the morning. Kabbalah speaks of chesed, loving kindness that does not run out. Divine chesed is not conditional on the exit from difficulty. It accompanies within the difficulty. And it is this companionship that gives strength to continue when the exit is still not visible. Emotional debt, shame, the narrative of I failed, I am not capable, I embarrassed my family, sometimes weighs more than financial debt, and it specifically blocks the shefa. Shame makes a person hide. Those who are hidden do not receive. Tradition calls the process of working through this teshuvah, which is not punishment but return, returning to oneself. And within teshuvah exists cheshbon hanefesh, inventory of the soul, honestly examining the patterns that contributed to the situation, not to destroy oneself with guilt, but to understand at the root. Because people who resolve debt without examining internal patterns often create debt again. The valley of shadow is where Cheshbon HaNefesh takes place. In the most difficult moment, a person has the real opportunity to look within and ask the important questions. Now, the practice of 3 days. In Jewish tradition, 3 represents chazaka, firmness, established pattern. Once is an incident, prayers, coincidence. 3 times in a row, new pattern. The first day begins, the second deepens, the third establishes. Materials, just you. Optionally, a white candle, represents the neshama, the inner flame that remains lit even when everything seems dark. Ideal time? In the morning, 10 to 15 minutes of silence. Step 1. Preparation. Wash your hands, netilat yadayim, as an act of state transition. Say, I am preparing to receive. I am opening my channel. I am ready to be seen. Step 2. Kavana. Before reading the psalm, declare your intention aloud. Kavana is concentrated intention, the conscious direction of the heart. An act performed with kavana and the same act without it are, spiritually speaking, completely different things. Say, Eternal, I read this psalm not to ask, but to remember who I am, to remember what is written about me, to open within me the channel through which your abundance can flow. I come with an open heart. This statement transforms what follows from recitation into a spiritual act. Step 3. Slow reading, verse by verse, with pauses. The Lord is my shepherd. Feel what it means to be seen and led. I shall not want. Declare, this is written about me. He makes me lie down in green pastures. 30 seconds of rest, hand on chest, 3 breaths. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Fatigue is not forever. He guides me in paths of righteousness. Ask for eyes to see the way. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow, acknowledge where you are. Eternal, I am in the valley. It is written that you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. One guides, the other protects. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. The bills, the fear, the shame are the enemies. The table is prepared in their presence, not afterward. You anoint my head with oil. The crisis does not take away your dignity. Goodness and mercy shall follow me. Chesed does not wait for you to deserve it. It is pursuing you now. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, your ultimate identity, not a debtor, someone who dwells in the house of the eternal. Step 4. Writing. Write one identity statement. I am someone seen and led. The channel within me is opening. Keep the paper. Reread it before each subsequent session. Step 5. Anticipated gratitude. End each session with gratitude, not for the solution that has not yet arrived, for the company that is already present, for the practice you are having the courage to do, for the channel that is opening. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for the channel that is opening. Thank you for the table that is being prepared. Anticipated gratitude is one of the most powerful acts of faith in the Kabbalistic tradition. It declares, with the voice, with the body, with intention, that the spiritual reality is already established before the material reality confirms it. The 3 days. Day 1, recognition. Focus on Adonai Roy, I am seen, coming out of the isolation that debt creates. Day 2, rest. Focus on He makes me lie down, practicing bitachon throughout the day. When anxiety arises, the solution does not depend on my panic. At the end, write about a situation where you chose to trust. Day 3, declaration and inventory. Focus on I shall not want. Do the Heshbon HaNefesh. What pattern in me contributed to this situation? What concrete decision can I make today? Resistance will appear, especially from the 2nd day onward, and more strongly on the 3rd. It will disguise itself in convincing forms, like forgetfulness. I didn't have time today, I'll do 2 days tomorrow. Like skepticism, I'm not feeling anything different. Like comparison, other people have faster results. Like urgency, I have more important problems. Tradition calls it Yetzer Hara, the impulse that prefers the familiar to the unknown, even when the familiar is suffering. The answer is not to destroy it. I am noticing resistance. This means I am at a point of real transformation. I will continue with the practice. It may be that at the end of the 3 days the debt is still there with the same numbers. This does not mean you have failed. Internal transformation precedes external, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks. Those who give up on the 3rd day will never know what was beginning to grow. Complete the 3 days before evaluating. If you want to continue, 7 days is a complete cycle, 21 solidifies, 40 is deep transformation. If you do the practice and notice something, a different decision, a clarity, a morning with less weight, come back and share in the comments. These reports help others in the same situation stay committed. Recapping. The Tehillim are not lists of requests, they are instruments for channel cleansing. The 3 revelations, Adonai Roy, you are seen, the debt is not your identity. He makes me rest. Bitachon is to act with clarity before the solution. The valley of shadow. Hesed accompanies you in difficulty, and it is there that the inventory of the soul happens. Jewish tradition has a concept called Mishkan, dwelling, where the divine presence resides. The Mishkan was built in the desert. The presence did not wait for a garden. Your financial desert is a legitimate place for the Eternal to dwell. Yevarechicha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. May the Eternal bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May he shine his face upon you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. May he grant you peace. May the debt you carry find the light it needs to begin to dissolve. Not only the financial, but the emotional, the shame, the weight of beliefs that were never yours. May the channels open for the shefa that has never stopped flowing. May the table be prepared in the presence of your adversaries. May chesed, the kindness that does not depend on your merit, pursue you every day, as it is written. Ken yehi ratzon, so be it. Amen. In the next video, the difference between Parnasa Kala and Parnasa Kashe, the light sustenance and the heavy sustenance. Why some people prosper easily while others work twice as hard for the same result. It's not luck, it's a specific spiritual dynamic. Subscribe, activate the bell, share with someone carrying the weight of a debt, and tell me in the comments, which verse from Psalm 23 touched you the most? May the Eternal guard each of your steps. Shalom.